What's up? This is Chad Menace from Standalone Wrestling, Pro Wrestling After Dark, and Shore Star Wrestling, Northeast Ring Rental Operations. And you are listening to the Three Count Podcast.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high
debate.
pass, what you find that Drag Ball at?
Well, now, by now, you already understand what this is. This is now Ancient Ring 201, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, it's never about me, but just like your tribal chief, you should acknowledge me, because by this time, I've gone out and found a lot of people who've been able to help me out with this business, and I love bringing a bunch of them back. So, who's now entering the ring? Well, you heard at the top of the show. He said he's part of Standalone Wrestling, Pro Wrestling After Dark. He's also has his promotion out in the shore. He does all the ring rentals around the Northeast. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Chad Minez.
Wow. That's too much. That's too much, man. I just say I'm just a toilet cleaner, okay?
Listen, you may have that business, but you also do a lot of other stuff. And like I watch you go out and promote and talk and like give a lot of props to everybody else. And like you yourself should be deserving the flowers as well, because I've seen like what you've been able to do and in the time frame that you've been able to do it in, and just like you're just growing and growing and growing and making things bigger and bigger. So no, give yourself some props too, because you definitely deserve your flowers.
I appreciate that, dude.
Yeah. So we have not spoke in a while. So legitimately, you guys are really kind of catching us at this time, but it's like catch up sessions. But we have kept close knit, but we just really just kind of been like passing ships. But you are like coming along, and I know I've been kind of like trying to put my stuff out there too, so more people can kind of see like what I've been doing behind the scenes. And I think for me, what it is, it's I'm starting to like understand and get a hold of like everything, because when you first saw me ever in a ring, we're at SWF, and
Hmm.
since then, like there's obviously like been lots of things happening. But I'm always kind of curious in what promoters look for when they hear the term like, yeah, I've been in the business now for like 2 years or 3 years. Like, what are those expectations that you look for in that person when they like show up?
So for me, as you talked about, I'm very involved in ring rental operations. And for my projects, the number one thing that I look for is number one, people that are humble. Two, people who are still willing to put in the work. If you're still that 2 year, 3 year guy, I don't believe you should be above any of the tasks that need to be done to run a successful show. I could use a guy, perfect example, Rhett Titus, who was on Shore Star Wrestling the last show. End of the night, it's time to go home. Some of the younger guys start shaking hands, walking out, envelope in hand, and here's Rhett Titus. He's walking in the ring, he's walking in the rails, he's doing all the hard work, and this is a vet. Guys on Ring of Honor, he's on NWA, and he's still putting in the work. So I like guys again who are humble, who love the business, who want to continue to give back, and aren't afraid to put in the work.
Yeah, I know, like for me, I love like being able to stay after and just kind of like either help clean up or just like help set up, right? Just because those things are fun. And then you can like, you make a good impression with people and that want to bring you back. Cause like if you leave the first time, you're like, whatever, peace, whatever, love
Hmm.
you guys. Then, it does leave a kind of sour taste in your mouth, in other people's mouths when, especially someone like, you know, as acclaimed as Rhett Titus is. Like if he's doing it, shouldn't you be doing it too? Like it's weird to like let people kind of like take care of the business as you just come in and you're just trying to show up and bounce. Like it doesn't. It for me, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth as well.
Yeah, and I just came off a show this whole weekend. I had Friday, Saturday, Sundays with GCW. Amazing what weekend it was. The big Mox. Um, uh, Mox versus Gage
Yeah.
main event, career versus title. And again, there was a lot of work to be done, a lot of moving parts throughout the whole weekend. And the promoter himself and myself, helping run the operations of the venue and stuff like that. We both notice those things. Who's putting the work, who loves the business, who's trying to earn it, who's trying to make a name for themselves. you don't think it, but the promoters are always looking and watching these things. And having my network of ring rentals and stuff like that, promoters are always asking me, who should I use? What do you think about this guy? We talk about the humbleness. You have any humble and hungry guys? And that's what I'll pass them on. Frank Desolate from IWA, he's a perfect example. We talk very frequently, and I'll pass some guys, who deserve a chance.
Yeah, I know. Like, I feel like when I was back there, and we were talking and having a conversation and stuff, and the group of guys that you were kind of like associating with, like, I definitely felt like a lot of them I was just kind of like excited to meet. Like, I know for me, Evander James was a name that like I think of
Hmm.
instantly. That I'm just like, I got to share the ring with him, actually up in Massachusetts, and I kind of knew who he was already. So when I got to see him, I was like, oh. I know you because I was at SWF, and then obviously like
Yeah,
Bad Moon. That's another tag team that I just love, like being able to sit there and chat with. And then there's just a whole list of guys, and I feel like every time I run into people that are associated with Standalone or with Pro Wrestling After Dark, they are. It's just they're just you could tell like the guys are just grateful to be there and just happy to be there because they're just it's the locker room is just really chill.
yeah, yes. For myself, I like to create a good environment for the talents and myself. You'll see myself online, and I try and find that balance of a little bit of controversy, and as well as carrying that line of doing good business, which is not the easiest thing in a business like this with so many variables, so many personalities, and a business where the fan becomes the talent, so it creates a lot of weird chemistry and variables.
Yeah, it's weird to think that that's like how we get into this business is that we were all fans of it first, and then we just grew into it, and then like there's a lot of different like ways to get into the business and to like start like digesting it to be able to like either like give back to it, give knowledge to it, something that maybe you've experienced from it. But it's weird how like everybody can bring something. Because like when you think about like pro football, right? Like it's a hard thing, right? Like you gotta have heart to obviously make it, you gotta have talent, right? And then you gotta have the drive. And if you lack one of those three things, like you're not really getting into pro football. But in
Yeah,
wrestling, it's kind of weird. Like you can kind of like come off the streets and just be like that average dude and you could slay it. Like you could be that guy.
yeah. Yeah, this is the only business where you could walk in and you could say, "Hey, I'm a photographer, or I want to be a manager, or I want to be a wrestler, or I want to be a commentator or announcer." And it's so easy to get in. You should go to school, but the percentage of people that don't go to school that make it in is very high.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then you can kind of tell like which guys are not to say backyarders, but the guys that come from like the dark world and then the guys who are like
Uh-huh.
actually trained out of school. It's definitely interesting to see like that aspect of it. But it's also very cool to learn from them because you can see a lot
Absolutely.
that they're trying to bring into the business as well. So I can understand. I do love the humble part because there's something about me that I try to keep myself grounded and sometimes it's like a little excessive because I'll get to the point where I'm just like, nah, this is trash. Like I'm never gonna be really that good. But I love the idea because like for me when I was in the military, it was just like being the humble servant and just like helping do what's like asked of you and just to get the mission done. And I find it in the wrestling community, it's similar with a lot of other people, and I definitely appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah. Excuse the background noise. I have kids, women, dogs. There's blinking lights going off. I'm watching live PD in the background, so a little chaotic, but everything is
It's all good.
everything is okay over here in Pleasantville, New Jersey. Oh, and here he is.
Hey, what's up?
Imperial.
Yeah, I see. Man, he's
Say
getting
hi.
tall too.
He's getting so big. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just talking about humble. Who this weekend he was just sweeping glass and picking up glass with a shovel at GCW. So he's starting young, paying his dues.
I like it. I
Right?
like it a lot.
Yeah. They can't see it. Say yeah. Tell him yeah. See? Yeah.
Hey, I love it. So something I want to bring up, right? This is a thing that you I saw like the concept of it, and then all of a sudden it just like erupted, right? So Contest of Champions is coming up, right? It's this great this is a great platform for a lot of wrestlers who are trying to come up into the business, right? And they get their chance to get their foot in the door with a lot of different promotions. Like, how did this like thing get started? And like, man, like you have so much going on with it right now.
Yeah, so Contest of Champions is probably the largest thing I've ever done. It's three different pieces of events. We're going to open up the day and the day prior as a super camp, and this will be number 4, my super camp. And the super camp basically is we're going to have approximately 36 promotions from Impact to New Japan Wrestling to the local promotions to promotions from outside of New Jersey. And they're actually going to be sitting at the tables around the ring, scouting the talents and observing everything that's going on. We brought in Anthony Green from Pro Wrestling Noah. So after I do the introductions, I'm going to pass it over to him, and he's going to be the camp coach. And he's going to take you through drills. He's going to take you through promos. He's going to take you through some educational pieces. And then we're actually going to pair everybody up into matches. So if you're in a faction, your faction's there. So we could do faction versus faction matches, tag team matches, single matches, and all the scouts are going to be watching you. And the intention on this one is to see people be signed. And we even have people who are coming that we can't even announce that are going to be surprise scouts. And as of today, we only have 5 spots left. So this is huge. And Saturday, December 3rd, it will be from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
Peace
seeing
Month.
that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that because I'm like trying to
So,
plan out logistically, like everything that's going on. I'm like, how am I going to make all this work? Because there's a lot of stuff going on this
yeah, a
week,
lot of
that
stuff.
weekend.
So Friday night, if you're not experienced, we have a camp for non-experienced people only. And again, this is do you want to see if wrestling is for you type of thing. And that's going to be Friday night from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We'll teach you everything from what it's like to build a ring, operations, weapons building. If you're interested in deathmatch stuff, go through some basic drills with some trainers that are going to be there. Sean Donovan, DJ Hyde, among others, are going to be there just to get a feel for you. If you want to be a commentator or a ring announcer, we can go through that process, see if you like that. And if you're interested and you like that, then we'll pass you off to a school. We'll recommend a bunch of schools that we have in our network. So that's Friday night for non-experienced, Saturday morning for experienced people. And then we move into our Fan Fest, which is going to be headlined by Sting, which is huge. Now, Sting doesn't make many appearances. He's one of the top legends there is in pro wrestling. And the Fan Fest is from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, I'm not gonna front. I saw that and my jaw dropped, and I was like, "This is like so." Anybody who's paid attention to the 3 Count podcast knows that in my my top triangle, right, the 3 people that I really want to interview the most, right, is Sting, Jericho, and Rey Mysterio. And
Great list.
I've been a lifelong fan of Sting since I remember watching him back in WCW in like the early 90s. So to see them like there's this huge opportunity to to be able to like have an interaction with someone like Steve, I was like, I 100% am trying to do whatever it is I can to like make sure that I'm around, at least around to ask the question, can I bring you on my podcast?
Yeah.
And
And
even if I get told no, that's fine. It's just that at least
gotta
I gave it the
ask.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. What's cool about the Fan Fest too, which is different. So we're in this big arena, the RWJ Barnabas Arena in Toms River. And if you go to the show at night, because again, that's the third part, the nighttime show. If you're attending the nighttime show, you don't have to pay for the Fan Fest at all, which I don't know that this has ever been done before in the industry. So if you're attending the nighttime show, your Fan Fest ticket is included, which is a great value for people.
Heck yeah, it is. That's actually really cool. And I think a lot of our, a lot of people who are listening to our show and stuff like that, they'll definitely appreciate that and have to make that move because
See that my
Mhm.
that is a big deal. Like, especially like you said, like it's usually not that way. So I definitely, that's cool. Uh, so I guess where we're going with it too, like what would you be looking for specifically if you had the opportunity to sit at the table and just kind of watch some of the guys wrestle? What are you looking for as far as like your standout guy aside from, what you listed kind of prior?
So me, I want to see a lot of character work. I think the way the business is changing and adapting, like it always does, is character work is key now because you could captivate the fans just from your entrance alone. the way you walk out, the way your gear is, the way you look, the way you present yourself, you could sell yourself to all the fans, and you could put on from a scale of 1 to 10, you could put on a 3 match, and you'll still be over with the fans just because you captivated them with that entrance alone. And I think if you've seen throughout NXT, the original NXT, how they built the characters and little again pushing a little more of character development, everybody was so over that the in-ring work was like second.
Right. Yeah, there was like a lot of great characters that were in that, that black and gold era. And then even prior to that, like when you got to new NXT, when they went from being like the sideshow of like these guys are doing like a game show, reality TV show, to like an actual wrestling show, and we got to see people like Seth Rollins and like obviously Dean and those guys as they were making their way, and we got to see some characters from like Becky's first run as like the Lucky Leprechaun.
Yeah,
Like even though it
exactly.
really didn't hit, like it was still there. Like she was still trying out, and then the Pixie cheerleader Alexa Bliss herself. Like
You're
I
right.
definitely, yeah, I love that. I love aspects of a great character, and I was like, that's why I'm super excited about like this whole opportunity coming up, because a lot of people out there have a lot of great characters, and I want to see who I can vibe with, and like possibly if I can make it up, who my characters are gonna like mesh with and who they're gonna clash with, because I definitely feel like that's an important aspect too.
Absolutely, man.
So what are your what is your, I guess, what is your head count that you're trying to get to for wrestlers being at this show, at the camp?
For the show itself, or for the tryout camp.
So let's go with the tryout camp.
So the tryout camp, we're going to cap at 60 people.
Okay.
That way it's manageable. Everybody gets their time in, gets time with all the promoters and stuff like that. We didn't want to go anything above that because again, you're losing value for people.
Yeah. Definitely understand that. And then for the show, I know you guys have some matches already kind of announced. Like let's get into like the card a little bit and let's talk about like some of the matches you guys have already announced.
All right. So for the Retro Mania title, which is a brand new title, if you know the Retro Mania game, they're going to launch a brand new title on our show for the first time ever, and it's going to be Tommy Dreamer versus Warhorse.
I'm a massive fan of Warhorse. I'm not
All
gonna
right, a lot of Warhorse fans. Hey, and a lot of Tommy Dreamer fans as well, right?
There is a lot of Tommy fans.
Yeah.
Everybody does love Dreamer, so it is definitely cool to see that it's gonna be him and Warhorse. And I don't know, it's funny because like when I watch Warhorse, like I'm a fan of his YouTube channel, so I'm watching him on YouTube and then watching him like through his TikTok and stuff. It's cool to watch like how he kind of got his start and how he pushed out, and then like obviously like he's a big fan of like heavy metal and just like watching him
Yeah.
do his thing. And then Tommy's the legend. Let's be real, like what can you say about Tommy Dreamer that like nobody else has said before? Because you talk about a man who, he's the innovator, like, and you can't hide that. So I
Mhm.
love watching Tommy go to work.
Yep. And we only have 2 other matches that we announced so far. We're gonna have matches during the Fan Fest. One of the matches is gonna be Leo Sparrow, and he has his own championship. It's called the Earth Championship, and he's gonna defend that in an open challenge. And I don't know if you know about Leo Sparrow, but he's a Creative Pro student from Brian Myers, Kurt Hawkins, and within 1 week he was on AEW and he was on WWE as well. So huge potential for him. Love showcasing him. We use him on our events locally as well. And going to be a little interesting open challenge. Again, remember, it's a fan fest. There's going to be tons of names there at the fan fest, and I can rattle off a couple. Besides Sting, we have Jerry Lawler, Frankie Kazarian, Nova, the Blue Meanie. We already mentioned Tommy Dreamer, Pitbull Gary Wolf, Frankie Edgar, Gilbert, Brian Myers, Matt Cordona, Damian Sandow, Nick Adelis, and the Wolves, among others. Tons to announce. I love you, baby.
That is a heap of names
Yeah.
to be able to put together.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other match that we have announced, which we just announced at 8 p.m. just an hour ago. So this is gonna be like a mini exclusive podcast announcement for you. My tag team champions, the Rep from Standalone Wrestling, the top unsigned tag team in the United States without a doubt. They're gonna be taking on the SAT.
Let's go. That's a great matchup. I'm a
Huge.
fan of SAT actually, so
Yeah, and I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know, but the SAT took a break. They're back. They just opened up a school. They just opened up a promotion. They're going to be one of the promotion scouting talents at the tryout camp, and they're going to be in action as well. So it's going to be a huge night for the SAT as standalone wrestling.
that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna love watching that match. I can't wait. So I think for me, right, I want to talk because you did mention about Leo, and like one of my favorite things is I actually have had a few of the students on from Creator Pro, and it just seems like that is a school that just puts out a lot of talented wrestlers. Like Brian Myers definitely knows what he's doing. I'm of course
Hmm.
right. I mean, can't take it, but it's just cool to see like all these different characters come out of this area and out of this one school and just ridiculously tear that house down. Right. I'm a big fan of Phil Cardigan, Jack Tomlinson as well. So to see another name get added, and like you said, you're putting this man over Leo, and he gets to do his open showcase. It doesn't get any better than watching that happen.
Yeah, if you're in the Northeast and you're looking for a school, Wrestle Pro, Creative Pro, it's the same exact company. Definitely one of the two spots to go for absolutely for sure.
Yeah, I'm a massive, massive fan with it. So, what else other projects you got going on? Because I know, like, obviously, standalone is always putting stuff out there. So I'm just kind of curious to hear what else you got.
Yeah, so with the Pro Wrestling After Dark brand, I launched a Pride LGBTQ product last year. We didn't announce it yet, but we'll talk about that now. Pride Month this June. We're going to be returning to Atlantic City at the Anchor Rock Club. We'll have that announced soon. Sure Star Wrestling, I recently acquired a month and a half, 2 months ago. We're going to return to Rio Grande, New Jersey in December. We're going to have that announced this week as well. Shore Star Wrestling is a very community driven, family friendly, no blood, no cursing, great for everybody. Very tight with the community. We run it at Limits Academy, which is a nonprofit organization that takes kids off the streets, gives them access to gym, teaches them how to box, take care of themselves, and they're in the middle of renovating for an activity room for the kids as well. I'm very passionate about that project, and that's a South Jersey product. And again, building and giving back to the community. And then on a more production handling operations standpoint, I've been working with GCW for a while now. Like we just talked about, came back from Atlantic City. Their events are huge. You could catch them on Fight TV. And I just started working with XPW, where I'll be doing the same thing: ring rentals, venue operations, marketing, anything else I'm needed for. Again, because in my personality and in my belief, I'm not above anything. This weekend I was parking porta potties at GCW. So I'll do anything from that to pick up pizzas, dealing with the venue, dealing with staff, dealing with talent. You know, when I'm in with a promotion, I'm 100% in. Like I said about the humbleness in the opening, that's I put that out myself. The humbleness in the business.
Bet. Well, so what I like to do, right, is one of my favorite segments for this show. So people who are fans, right, you'll know that we have the Red Dots Power Rankings on our debate show. We also have the 10 count questions that are attached to, now entering 101. But because this is now entering 201, we love to play submit, pin, and DQ. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you 3 characters. You got to pin one, submit one, or DQ one. So it's really kind of up to you.
So each one you get to pick one, or you have to pick only one of the 3 options.
Let's say you take like wrestler A, then
Uh-huh.
you pin that person, then that option no longer is available. So option
Okay,
B
okay.
can either
Yeah.
DQ or you can submit them.
Submit, DQ, or what?
Pin.
10. All right.
Yeah. So first 3 that we're gonna take off, we're gonna just throw 3 names out there because we love these names, right? Nick Gage,
Ah,
Matt Cardona, or John Moxley. Oh, and John Moxley. I'm sorry.
Moxley. Well, I would love to submit Nick Gage because I don't think he's a man that quits. So if you could do that, you're at the top of the game.
Right.
Uh-huh. Is that right? Yeah. Pin John Moxley. He's the former GCW champion. He just lost to Nick Gage this weekend. He is the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So if if I pin John Moxley, I'm the world champion in fantasy booking. And that would leave a DQ for Cardona for being such a douchebag.
I like it. I like it. So let's take this over somewhere else, right? So we're gonna take it to some pretty well-known factions, right? So we have the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Justice League.
And the Justice League. Now these are tough.
This is definitely a tough set. I think
Yeah.
this is the hardest one I've actually thrown at somebody in this whole entire series.
How do you make them all submit or pin them all? That's
You get to pick how
tough.
you do it, though.
These are the Avengers.
Yeah.
The X-Men, I would disqualify myself because there's some very, very dangerous guys in there. I don't want to get Wolverine's claws, so I want to get out of there as quick as possible. So
Right.
I'll DQ myself real quick and run. I think the Avengers are the top dogs in all the comic book world. So I would love to make them submit. Now, if I can make all the Avengers submit, that'd be pretty badass.
Okay.
And that would leave pinning the Justice League.
That's fair. I mean, Superman taking a pin or Batman taking a pin.
In my opinion, the Justice League is the weakest, so I think I could take them. So I'll pin them.
I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna get some heat. I'm gonna get some heat for my comic book rankings. I think once this comes out.
Yeah, somebody's gonna say something like, "Actually, I don't think if you understand, Superman is the most strongest person in the entire."
Yep.
Like, sure.
Did you just call the Justice League jobbers?
Really? So our last one, right, is definitely gonna be we'll call it the old school, right? So let's take on Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, and last but not least, Sting.
Sting. Okay. I gotta be careful what I say about Sting because I'm actually gonna see him in person, right?
And just drop you with the Scorpion
Yeah.
Death Drop.
Yeah. So Flair, I would love to submit him in the figure 4. Make him tap out to his own move.
I
Definitely.
like it.
He's also the dirtiest player in the game, so DQ kind of sounded good too.
Right?
Steamboat, I would love to fly off the top rope and get the pin on him. And I guess I would have to bloody up Sting in a DQ.
Hey,
Make that old school blonde hair bleed,
I like
Surfer
it.
Sting.
Surfer Sting, definitely. All right, bet. Well, that's all of the questions I really have for you. But more importantly, just let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Okay. On Facebook, myself, Chad Minnis, Standalone Wrestling, Pro Wrestling After Dark, and Shore Star Wrestling are on everything. On TikTok, I run a site called New Jersey Pro Wrestling, which I'm trying to grow that up, and I feature every promotion that there is, trying to get them out there. Big projects that I'm involved in are GCW and XPW, so follow their socials and their websites. All easy to find now with Google and all these social media sites. And again, if you're fans, support these streams. I'm on IWTV under Standalone Wrestling, XPW, and GCW's on Fight. On my IWTV channel, I also have IWA, which is one of my promotions that I work with, Project Codename Wrestling, among others. So plenty of wrestling out there to support.
A lot of wrestling to support. A lot of wrestling in New Jersey to support.
Too much wrestling in New Jersey. My son is going to have a promotion next week, I think, too.
I like it. It's called Tykes Pro Wrestling. I've heard.
There we go. Yeah. It's
Little
about that time. Yep. We're almost there.
Yep. Tiny Tykes Pro Wrestling. I like it.
Yeah.
But those are all the questions I have. You guys heard what he said. He gave you his promotion. He told you where you can find him on all of his social media platforms. And you know what that means. Like every great part of a wrestling match, You got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering 201. And like I said, I'm your host, Clever Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, which by now you should be calling me, it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And who's entering the ring, you see him right there, okay? Chad Minnis himself. I told you, he's the man, the myth, the legend, the man that makes things happen because he wants to make things happen. And you guys know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're giving us those 5-star Frog Splash reviews on Apple Podcasts. You're also answering the question that's here on Spotify as well. It just says something right at the bottom. Just answer the question, right? And then also, you're buying
right
all of
here.
our merch. Right here, you're buying the merch, ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Podcast. And for some of us, right here soon, for your wear as well. Also, last but not least, you're telling your friends about us. And you're sharing this video out with them. And you're doing all that stuff, or you're really just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro. And then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Peace.
See you guys.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _ pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. Oh! At ProWrestlingTees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.